My dad said something in that hospital room that changed everything. He was in the hospital for 4 days. I stayed for all of them. My mom was there every morning before visiting hours started and stayed until they made her leave. I watched her move around my father's hospital room, adjusting his blanket, cutting his food into smaller pieces, arguing with nurses about his medication schedule in that stubborn, relentless way of hers. And I saw something I had never quite let myself see before. She was terrified. Not in a dramatic, visible way. My mother does not do dramatic and visible. But I know her face, and I know the way she holds her shoulders when something is costing her. And for 4 days, her shoulders did not come down once. On the third night, it was just my dad and me. My mom had gone to get food. My sister had stepped out to call her kids. My dad was quieter than usual, which for him meant almost entirely silent. Then, out of nowhere, he said, "I know I was hard on you." I didn't say anything. "I know it didn't always feel like the right kind of love," he said. "I didn't have another kind to give. My father never told me I was enough either. I didn't want the world to break you before you were ready for it. I thought if I was harder on you than the world would be, you'd be prepared." He paused. "I think I got the logic right and the execution wrong." I sat with that for a long time. Because here is the thing about growing up and getting older and doing your own therapy and learning your own language for things. At some point, you have to decide what you want to do with your understanding. I understood my parents. I had understood them for years, intellectually. I knew the immigration story, the sacrifice, the cultural context, the generational pattern. I could explain their parenting in clear, compassionate terms to anyone who asked. But understanding something and actually letting it land in your body are two completely different things. That night in the hospital, I let it land. I looked at my father, genuinely looked at him, maybe for the first time in years. And I saw a man who had been given a very specific set of tools by his own hard life, who had used every single one of them trying to protect me, and who had loved me in the only language he knew how to speak. It wasn't the language I needed, that's still true, but it was never the absence of love. I reached over and put my hand on his. He didn't say anything, neither did I. But he turned his hand over and held mine. That was 6 months ago. My relationship with my parents is not magically fixed. We are not suddenly a family that says "I love you" easily or talks about our feelings over Sunday dinner. Old patterns don't dissolve overnight. But my mom called me last week just to tell me about a bird that had landed on her windowsill. She said it reminded her of a story from when I was little. We talked for 40 minutes. My dad texted me a link to an article he thought I'd find interesting. No message, just the link. I texted back a voice note of me laughing at it. He sent back a single laughing emoji. For him, that's a novel. I'm not going to tell you to reconcile with your parents if they hurt you. Some wounds are real, and some distances are necessary, and not every story ends this way. But I will tell you that the story I was telling about my family was only half the truth. The other half was waiting for me to be ready to hear it. Follow for more stories.